Oh, I'm sorry. You think, why did that doctor tell me? I was choking, I was getting dizzy, I couldn't stand properly. Oh, that's just normal side effect the first day, but you didn't tell me. So you think, well, that's not fair. So people join ISKCON, and you see there's a natural progression, At some point, you'll get to this, I'm the best devotee. Right? We call that PDS, Pure Devotee Syndrome. I go to the Japa retreat and I chant like one amazing mantra, like one, all week, and I come back and I'm like, I'm the man. I'm Japa man. You're all losers. I'm the man. You have no idea. That's human nature, right? Isn't it? And then Krishna will show you're not the man sooner or later. Everybody knows you're not the man except you. But, by the time you're 50, you figure it out, but you had to live, 50 years before you realize you're not the man. That's unfortunate. So I think it's important that when people come, you say, like, this is what's going to happen to you, the first 3 months and the next. There's a map. And then you'll get to this stage where you'll be like, you go through the stage of guilt. Oh, I'm so bad. I'm not pure, and I'm the worst devotee, and everybody's better than me, and beat yourself up stage. Like everybody goes through it. My guru wants me to do this, but I couldn't do it fully, and he probably hates me, probably never wants to see my ugly face again. And this is all not true, but we go through that. You ever gone through that? Yeah, Prabhu, I'm going through it right now. Every day I go through it, right? So we need to help devotees. It's okay, you're going to go through this. This is how you deal with it. Then you're going to go through this. This is how you're going to deal with it, right? Right? And we need to tell the girls that when that cool mridanga player with the earrings and the tattoos does, the kirtan, don't ask him to get married to you, because that's not the sign of a good husband. So we have a lot of that, right? How many points does he get for the earrings, for the tattoos, for the muscles, mridanga playing, singing? Gets a lot of points for it. And so, but he's not always the right pick, right? So, there's things we need to help devotees understand. Or vice versa, a man has his own way he can become illusion and make bad choices, right? Okay, other question? Yes. It's the only one who thinks he's lower than a woman's stool. So he could be the avatar. We just don't know it. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You could be. Okay.
Hare Prabhu, like I remember I heard that Prabhupada said, just here, where is the question of mind while chanting?
Yeah.
But when we think of the prayerful mood, so it is all mental for me, not coming from the heart. So we should just hear or don't hear?
Yeah, very good question. This is such an important question. The first day I was here, a devotee asked a question. And he said, Prabhupada said this, which seemed to be different than what I was saying. And I said, we need to understand the context of what Prabhupada's saying, what he means when he's saying this. Because there's so many things Prabhupada said that appear to either contradict or at least elaborate on what he said. It's like, you go to class, your teacher says, I'll give you, this will be good. You get where I'm going? Like there's more to be said about just here. Prabhupada said more things, and we need to understand the context. But a very sad event happened in ISKCON, some of you may know, that a sannyasi was having difficulty. He was a very sincere, devoted sannyasi. And was having some difficulty, and nobody knows what difficulty he had. And he was so sincere, his difficulty might have been just like in his mind. Like he might have been thinking about his ex-wife or something. He was like that devoted. So anything he felt, anything impure, he felt like a big stain in his heart. So he asked Prabhupada a question about sannyasis committing suicide. And said, if a sannyasi falls from his principles, should he commit suicide? And Prabhupada said, yes, Chota Haridas was the example. Because that's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then the devotee went to the back of the morning walk. And then Prabhupada continued speaking about how, but we're not going to recommend that. That's a principle. Like, as we know, many sannyasis had difficulty and Prabhupada let them get married. So we're very lenient. But as a principle, at least in Mahaprabhu's time, Mahaprabhu wanted to set an example with Chota Haridas, that he was lusting after a woman, so committed suicide. It was the right thing. And this devotee committed suicide because he didn't hear the rest of the conversation. So sometimes we hear something Prabhupada said, and it's exactly like this walk. Other things that he says to elaborate on it are in other parts of his books or conversations or letters or stories that you'll hear from devotees, but we don't know those stories. So then we could misunderstand. So this is really, really important, don't you think? Like, you didn't hear, that was the first half, you should kill yourself. The second half, you shouldn't, you didn't hear that. That's a problem, right? It's a huge problem. So, let's say there's a bhakta, and we'll use you as an example. There's a bhakta, and the bhakta comes to you and he goes, trying to chant, but I'm thinking about Upman, I'm thinking about this, thinking about my mother, she doesn't want me to be here, and it's like, so hard to control the mind. And you say, forget your mind, just hear. Because that's all you can tell them, right? You're not going to say, you need to pray from your heart, this is what the Maha Mantra means. You know, you're not going to say that. You just know he's like a new devotee, can't control his mind. You say, don't worry about your mind. Take your mind and throw it to the moon while you chant. Just hear. And then that's what he can understand. That was the context of that statement. Srila, if you search on folio, you'll find Srila Prabhupada, it's difficult I have a hard time or difficult to control my mind when I chant. What is the question of mind? You just chant and just hear. It was like, don't complicate it, simplify it. You don't need your mind to chant. Okay, that's good. You don't need your mind to chant. All right. That opens up the pathway. If you take it further, where like what we heard this morning and in the prayers of Queen Kunti, when Prabhupada in the purport says everything depends on feeling, you know the verse, the Kinchana Gochara verse, where if you call out, you can't call out feelingly if you're trying to advance materially. You can only if you feel helpless and poor, then you can call out feelingly. In the purport, Prabhupada said it all depends on feeling. There's so many places. So you understand the context, you just hear, because like, my mind is going crazy. But we want to get beyond just hearing. So Prabhupada said, hear yourself chanting sincerely. I think that was the quote. Hear yourself chanting sincerely. So that sincerely is like the second half of the suicide discussion. So we probably just hear, but we didn't hear the sincerely. Well, what does sincere mean? Well, it means Krishna. I want pure bhakti. There's some feeling. You know what it means to be sincere, right? But as we study everything Prabhupada said about the holy name, it comes out, so much comes out about the mood, the feeling. So that you have to take all those instructions together. Now, does that make sense? Yeah. And anything you study that Prabhupada said, make sure you hear the whole conversation. Make sure you didn't go to the back of the line too soon. Because you're going to give a Bhagavatam class and say, if you're late for prasadam, you should kill yourself. You're going to say something crazy, right? Because you read the first line and didn't read everything else. Right? So that happens a lot. I'm sure you've heard a class where someone says something and you're like, whoa, that devotee's like a little fanatical, huh? Because it was taken out of context. Right? He didn't know the context in which Prabhupada said that. There are contexts in the purports that many of us as Prabhupada disciples know because we knew what was going on in the movement when those books came out. And a lot of the purports are referring to events in the movement which you would have no idea. I'll give you an example. There is a purport to Gajendra. It's quite well known because it's a purport about Gajendra fighting in the water, and he's a land animal, and the crocodile was winning because the crocodile was an animal of the water. So Prabhupada, he would just take a story like that and just transfer it into something that's happening in ISKCON today that actually had no connection at all with that story originally. So that's what he did. He said in the purport, if you remember the purport, he said, you should fight Maya from the ashram in which you're most powerful. So if you're a sannyasi but you can't maintain it, don't give up the fight. Take the grihastha ashram. That's what the purport says. But what you may not know is, at that time, one of Prabhupada's leading sannyasis got married. Or he left, he didn't get married, he left with another woman. Later he got married. And he came to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, yes, don't leave Krishna consciousness. You can serve as a grihastha. It was that person he was talking about in the Gajendra Leela. So it's nice to know that. It helps. I mean, how are people going to know that, 1,000 years from now? Maybe they'll know that if it's on some memory tape. But all of us who were there, I would say almost every Prabhupada disciple, would know that. That's because it's a shocking purport. A sannyasi can get married. But that's what happened. I think he was the first sannyasi that got married, and Prabhupada let him do it. So, I gave a lecture. It was really heavy. Because I was upset. I got very upset with people who are teaching how to chant the holy name, only saying, the only thing is you just have to hear. That's it. That's all there is. And it upset me, he said, because that's not all there is. That's just for that wild brahmachari who can't control himself. Yeah, you can't do anything. Sit down and just listen. That's like, you loser, sit down and listen. That's all you can do. But the experience of the holy name, what you can open up to, when you open your heart to it, when you chant with devotion, when you follow the mood of the previous acharyas, and you study all the things Prabhupada said about the holy name, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Bhaktivinoda Thakur, it opens up a whole new world. And, in every Japa workshop I ever did, everyone would say, but, my mentor said, just hear. And I would hear that like every time. And I'm thinking, that's why we don't chant good rounds, because can you just hear for 2 hours every day the holy name? Then I discovered something. I mean, maybe you can sometimes on a good day, but the mind wanders. Then I discovered something amazing. When you open your heart and you pray, you know what happens to your mind, your wandering mind? It dissolves. Because when you go into emotion, your mind shuts off. Because they're like, you're either in your mind, no emotion, or all emotion and no mind. And if you're married, you see women are different than men. They can go totally into emotion. Men will always be a little in mind while they're in emotion. But my experience is, the more I go into emotion, the less I have to bring my wandering mind back, because it's not wandering, because I'm just feeling. Hey, Krishna, please help me. And an example of that is when you come in the temple and you go in front of the deity and you want to pray, right? So you're not sitting there praying with one hand knocking your head. Bring my mind back, bring my mind. It's not, your mind is not going anywhere if you're praying from your heart. Yes or yes? Yes. So you have proof there, right? You have proof. When prayer comes from the heart. Is the Maha Mantra a prayer? Yes, it's not officially a mantra, it's a prayer. O Radha, O Krishna, please engage me in your service. It's not, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are great. It's, O Radha Krishna, please engage me in your service. It's a prayer in the sense of petitioning. So when you go in front of the deity, you may say, oh, you Supreme Lord, you're great, but generally you pray for something. Please help me. And where is that prayer coming from? Not from your head. It's coming from your heart, because you know what you need, and you pray for what you need. And what happens to your head when you pray from your heart? Your head goes to sleep. It has no function. You cannot function when you're praying. So I found the battle with the mind, you don't have to. You just pray, and automatically you'll see the mind comes down. And who are you praying to? You're praying to the holy name. So people say, but if I'm praying, how do I hear? That's who you're praying to. You're praying to the holy name. How could you not hear it? What's your name? Milan. Oh Milan, can you give me a chapati? So, am I not hearing your name, Milan, when I'm calling you? But I'm really hungry and I really love chapatis. I'm sorry to bring this example, we're fasting. I have to think of something that nobody likes here. Some American preparation you wouldn't like. Something you don't like. Anyway, Kerala. Bring me some Kerala. Boiled Kerala. As much as possible. So, when I'm saying, oh Milan, bring me Kerala, I'm thinking of your name. How can I not hear it? Because I'm praying to Milan. And in this sense, I'm praying to Krishna, who is his name. So you have to experiment with this. And we will experiment with this a little bit. We have to experiment. Because the reason I got upset with this is because when I would teach devotees that chanting is not just ritual and mechanical, I had such a difficult time helping devotees to practice this way, because so many devotees would say, how do you feel when you chant? Because I'm not used to doing it. I'm just used to chanting and hearing. It's very mechanically. How many of you are familiar with Buddhist meditation? If you want a mechanical process, that's totally mechanical. There is no relationship with another being. You are just trying to calm your mind by focusing on your breath or focusing on something. You can focus on a candle, you can focus on a spot on the wall, but it's just the goal is to calm your mind, and you just follow your breath or follow that spot. That is completely mechanical, right? Have you ever chanted japa like that? Like, the goal is to hear Krishna, but not to remember Krishna. Have you ever had that experience? Like, Krishna is the last thing I'm remembering. I'm just trying to hear. Okay, we say, you're hearing Krishna, you must be thinking, but not entirely always true. Completely, right? So, there's another problem that goes along with this, that sometimes this word sentimental, you know this word sentimental, what it means. If I say something that's not based on Shastra, but it's just how I feel, well, I just feel like you don't need to chant, you can just sit in a temple and appreciate. Why do you need to chant? I just feel good when I do that. We'll say that's sentimental because it's not what the acharyas are saying. Mahaprabhu said, chant. You say, you don't need to chant. We say, you're being sentimental. But if you're chanting, oh, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, and you're feeling, and someone says you're just sentimental, that's incorrect use of the word. You're not sentimental, you're feeling something in your chanting, which is good. So now we get this confusion between feeling and sentimental, and then everybody says you shouldn't feel, because if you feel, you're just being sentimental. And all the guys know the women are all sentimental because they're always feeling, right? So it's a misunderstanding. Sentimental is a feeling that goes against Siddhanta. It's whimsical, basically. It's how I feel. I feel, I just sit in the temple and stare at the walls. My mind becomes very peaceful. That's not our Siddhanta. So when we say feeling, what's the feeling? Oh Krishna, you are so far from me, and I've turned my back on you, and I want to connect with you. That's the feeling. Does that make sense? So first you understand in your head, I'm far, and now I want to bring that feeling. What does it feel like to be far from Krishna? How do you feel? Does it feel good? You feel like you'd like to be with Krishna? Do you feel remorseful for having left? Yes, yes, yes. You bring that into your japa. Oh, Krishna, please accept me. I feel so remorseful for having left you. If you chant like that, it's amazing. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, chant with remorse, that I've committed offenses to the holy name. So, Krishna, I left you. How does that make you feel? Krishna, I turned my back on you. How does that make you feel? Krishna, I tried to imitate you for millions of lifetimes. How does that make you feel? Makes you feel really bad. But you can use that feeling, bring it to the holy name, and say, Krishna, I want to reconnect. I feel bad that I left you. I want to reconnect. So now you've taken a philosophy, it's become an emotion, which then empowers your japa. Good or good? Otherwise, it's just a philosophy in your head, and then you sit down and chant mechanically. True or true? Is not that what, have you ever had that experience? The philosophy's in your head, it doesn't get in your heart, and then you just chant mechanically. Just try to hear, that's it, I'm just hearing. Yeah. Oh, good, you heard. Did you think of Krishna during japa? No, but I heard. Did you feel anything? No, but I heard. Well, I did feel hungry for a while. I did get sleepy for a while. Other than that, no. And so then you think, oh, okay, that was good. I didn't feel anything. I must be detached. That's not our philosophy. Does that make sense? So think of all the times you've understood something in your head philosophically that did not transfer into any kind of feeling that you could use in your bhakti. That's really bad, isn't it? And we call it, oh, I'm just being sentimental. You're just being sentimental. It's a completely wrong use of the word. Does that make sense? Feeling is, how do you manifest bhakti? Krishna, please accept this. What did Prabhupada say? Krishna, please accept this offering. I'm offering you the holy name. Please accept it. Does that make sense? Hare Krishna. I have to get this excited because I'm so jet-lagged and underslept. If I don't get excited, I will fall asleep. But I think we should stand up because sitting so long is not good. And you've been sitting about an hour and 15 minutes. Well, actually, some of you have been sitting 2 hours. So should we take a 5-minute break so you can get up, get some air, get some water, whatever you have to do, jump up and down. Okay, we're going to do something because we did this. The last time we rented that big hall, I think we did a japa. Yeah, we did a japa thing, right? Japa workshop. Whatever that was, 7 years ago. So that may be 250 devotees. And so after each break, I would ask the devotees, you embrace 5 devotees, second break, 10 devotees, that we increase. So we're going to take a break. The men don't embrace the women until they're on the level of prema. And don't tell me you're on the level of prema, just so you can do it. So that's a interesting question. Would we actually do it if we were on the level of prema? Probably not, because people would gossip, right? So it wouldn't be good PR. So we're going to take a little break. It's 10:55. Try to come back in 5 minutes. You're going to embrace 5 other devotees, at least. You can embrace more if you want. But I want to tell you, at the end of the workshop, we had 250 devotees, so it was like 125 each. So that means each devotee was embracing like 60 devotees at the end. And I thought that Japa workshop was really good. I was up there. I had to be on my best because there were so many people. I couldn't just do it casually. And I thought I was at my best. And devotees came up and said, the best part of the workshop? And I go, yeah, when I said this or that. And they said, the best part of the workshop was embracing. I'm like, okay. So remembering that, this is going to be probably the best part of the workshop. So take a break, but embrace 5 devotees at least before you take the break, okay? And now, let's say 11:05. That will give you 9 minutes to... 11, what time? 50? 11:15. Okay. Oh yeah. So 11:15, I start the class on Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we'll wait like 5-10 more minutes. Then we'll go to 11:05. Then you'll have a 10-minute break, and then we'll start Bhaktisiddhanta. Is that okay? Okay. So we can take some more questions. There was someone back there who had a question. Yeah.
Krishna. So you were saying, giving our explanation, like please accept anything. It depends on circumstance. But there we have like the 6th offense, like we say, giving interpretation of the holy name.
Yeah.
Actually, I had one more subject. We sometimes I've seen devotees saying to give some interpretation of the holy names of the Lord. At that time, to give some mundane interpretation of the Lord, which is correct, and these two.
Well, they mean the same thing, because it means any interpretation you give other than that Krishna is his name. Any interpretation other than that, be it mundane or spiritual, like Shiva's name is better, that's an interpretation also. But that Krishna is anything less than Krishna, that's that offense. But I want to tell you something funny. One time a devotee said, I don't know the context, maybe it was in a class, and the devotee said, in Prabhupada's presence, Krishna is in his holy name. And Prabhupada said, no, he's not in his holy name, he is his holy name. So you could say that's an interpretation. Krishna is in his holy name. So that's not a mundane interpretation. But to say the name of Krishna is, like piety, or you get pious action, yeah, you do, but that's bringing it down to the mundane level. So, is that okay, or you wanted more clarification?
Like otherwise, we'll be thinking, okay, holy name is like this, like according to the circumstance. Okay, now holy name will save me from this. So is that okay to interpret that?
Yeah. Well, if you're saying the holy name will save me, you're saying Krishna will save me. If you're thinking something else, the holy name is just a mystical sound vibration, impersonal, that has, power to save me, cure my disease, bring in wealth and so forth, which in its Chintamani it can do, but if that's what you think it's for, that's a mundane interpretation. Like some devotees say, will chanting cure my psychological problems? Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but there's nowhere in the Shastra that says that's what the holy name is. It's a psychotropic drug, a psychotropic mantra. It's not. But it might cure it, but that's not what it is. It's Krishna. So as long as we understand it's Krishna in his most available form, and it's Krishna in a form which will awaken our prema in the mood of residence at Braja, if we understand that, then it's like we've understood it. I forgot who's ordered, but you look pretty anxious, though. The ones I will call who have the face that expresses the most anxiety, I have to ask this question.
Hare Krishna. So, what I feel while chanting, I just want to ask, when we chant Hare Krishna, so I understand, okay, Radha Krishna is there. But when I chant Hare Ram, so that time some confusion comes.
Mm-hmm. I had a realization. This is nowhere in Shastra, so I may be kicked out of ISKCON for saying this. But it's interesting. Well, Prabhupada said, Rama, Lord Ram, Balaram, but also different acharyas say Radha Raman, right? So there's Radha Raman. And Radha Raman means the pleasure of Radha, or Radha gives him pleasure. So, it really means Radha gives him pleasure, but you could also, I'm sure, I'm not a Sanskritist, but I'm sure it could be, the pleasure of Radha. So I was thinking of it as the pleasure of Radha, right? So I was telling a devotee, the second half of the mantra, it's just Radha, 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 Radha. Because Hare is Radha, and Rama, if I take it as Radha Raman and I take it as the pleasure of Radha, Krishna is the pleasure of Radha rather than Radha is the pleasure of Krishna, then it becomes Radha. So it depends on the devotee's bhava. I'll give you another example. Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna, Radha Krishna. Then Krishna, Krishna, there's no Radha. Oh, separation. Oh no, Krishna, I can't say it, Krishna, Krishna. And then Hare, Hare, Radha, Radha, no Krishna, they're not together, separated. Oh, it's so painful. Hare Rama, they're together again. Hare Rama, 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 Hare, Hare. So some devotees will feel that way. So it's like, is Giriraj a devotee or is Giriraj Krishna? Well, it depends how you see him. It depends on your bhav, right? You see Krishna in the mood of Madhurya, or maybe you see him in the mood of Sakya. Well, that depends. So in that sense, Krishna as the lover of Radha, Hare Rama. But maybe you're a Ram Bhakta, so then for you it's Lord Ram. Or maybe you're a cowherd boy, for you it's Balaram. And if that doesn't work and that confuses you, then just hear and chant. So now you understand why Prabhupada said that.
I just want to ask what previous acharyas have written and what at the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu means. How they
How they understood the Mahamantra? Is that the question? Now the previous acharyas? They all understand it through their own relationship with Krishna, according to their particular rasa. So, if we understand how the meanings they give for, most of our acharyas are manjaris, in Madhurya Ras. So if we understand that and we read what they're saying, then you have to see it in context of Madhurya Ras, Manjari Bhav. But it's not something you can imitate. But like, what I like to do is take what they said, okay, I recognize they're saying, Krishna, make me qualified to serve you. They might be thinking, make me qualified to enter the Ras Leela, right? Or make me qualified they may be very specific, qualified to offer this particular seva to Radharani. This is very elevated, right? So then I have to bring it down to myself. Krishna, my guru wants me to do this seva. Please help make me qualified so I can do this seva. Or I'm on the altar, I feel unqualified. I've been temple president, I don't feel qualified. Please make me qualified. Or I just feel very contaminated and very lowly, and when I serve Krishna, I just feel like I need more purity. Please give that to me. So then you can bring it down. So, to understand what the acharyas are experiencing, that's okay. We need to understand these things. But we need to understand them in the right conception, in the right attitude. Otherwise we start to think like we're also entering into something we're not qualified to enter into, and that's dangerous. Do you know that in Gaudiya Math, at least during the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, they would read Shastra and discuss it. But when they got to anything about the gopis and Krishna, there was no discussion. They would just read it through and no discussion. It was not allowed. It was like, this is way beyond us. We don't discuss it. Interesting, isn't it? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that you always want to approach these things which are way beyond you from a very humble position, and say, just serve it, His idea was, you're always in the mood of servant. Here's a great devotee and he's talking about Ras Leela and all this, and I just will serve them humbly. Like I don't understand this, And the fact is, until we're free from the bodily concept, we can't understand it because there's no bodily concept in that Leela. There's no lust in that Leela. How will you understand Rasa Leela if you have lust? It's impossible. You can't, because your lust will filter man, woman, Radha and Krishna, and it'll affect you. And so Prabhupada once said, you will become purified by hearing Ras Leela. He said, but if you're not hearing in the proper way, you will become putrefied by hearing it. So you'll become, it's like homeopathic medicine. It's poison. Don't take a lot. You just take a little. You say, oh, this medicine works. I'll take more. Yeah, you too. Isn't there some homeopathic medicine that has what's that poison? Common poison. There's some common poison. Yeah, mercury's a poison. There's some common poison, I forget. Cyanide, yeah. I've got some cyanide. You want some? You want to die? Go back to Godhead tonight, today. You can take it anytime you want. But as far as I understand, there is Ayurvedic medicine that has cyanide and one that has rat venom in it. I mean, a snake venom in it. But it's so minute, all it does is it stimulates your body to fight off the poison. You put your body in a mode where it fights whatever it has to fight without getting sick. So, but if you take too much, you'll die. So, we need to hear these leelas to be purified, but if we're not qualified, it's better just be careful. Just be very respectful. I think this is very, very important because sometimes we just want to understand everything, but that's okay. But understand there's a lot of things you can't understand. When the Nectar Devotion came out, it came out in August of 1970. I had been a devotee for 8 months at that point. 7.5 months, probably. And so the first part of Nectar Devotion, the first third, we could understand, more or less. It was pretty straightforward. But we also have to understand, I'm a 7-month devotee, but the oldest devotee in ISKCON at that time, there was only a few, were like 3.5 years. So those are your seniors. 3.5 years, 32 years old. Those were the old people in ISKCON, the senior wise people. And we only had the first canto of Bhagavatam. So just try to get the context of how much we understood. And Prabhupada's giving us Nectar Devotion, so we start getting into reading it at a certain point. Even today, if you try to understand rasa and all the bhavs of rasa, your head will spin. Even if you've been a devotee 50 years, you'll read it, you'll go, I think I got it, and someone will ask you a question, you try to explain it. Udipan and Anubhav, and then there's Mahabhav and Bhava, but there's Mahabhav and Prema, and it's like, let me go back and read that, And you read it again, and it's difficult. So we were reading it as new devotees, and we're like, Prabhupada, are we supposed to read this because this is Greek, all Greek to us? And he said, yes, even if you don't understand it, read it, just keep reading it, because gradually you'll understand it. So I think that the danger is to think that I understand it when I don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, I got this Rasalila thing down. I've read the Charyas and the commentaries. I understand it. I give class on it. Whoa. Bhaktisiddhanta wouldn't even let his disciples talk about it. Now I have another story. It's really interesting. In 1982, there was a lot of confusion in ISKCON. So a lot of devotees were going to Srila Prabhupada's godbrother for philosophical advice, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And Prabhupada and Sridhar Maharaj were very close. And so devotees were going there. And it was not considered wrong or bad. So I was there. And in the afternoon, Srila Sridhar Maharaj was giving darshan, and all his darshans are all philosophy. It's just all philosophy, and you learn a lot from him, what Bhaktisiddhanta said, and at that point we were confused about many things. So we like to ask somebody senior, because we would discuss ourselves together and we'd all look at one another and say, I'm not sure. So one afternoon he was giving darshan and he started speaking about the gopis. He just closed his eyes, and for maybe 1 or 2 minutes he was speaking about the gopis. And then he opened his eyes, and the first thing he said is, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have spoken that. Wow. Never forgot that. I am sorry I spoke about the gopis. It should not have been spoken in public. Wow. So remember that. It is a topic that's generally, that was just devotees. There wasn't any public, it was only devotees, and he apologized for speaking about it. Like, this was not Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's mood. So be very careful approaching it. Is that okay? So we have to push the 10 minutes. So let's say, how about 11:20? And my joke is always, what time is 11:20 for you in India? Because from my experience, 11:20 is not 11:20. Is that true? Yeah. My joke is, I'm going to open a school in India. I'm going to teach 3 things. How to tell time, how to drive cars in between the 2 white lines, and how to get to the back of the line and not butt to the front. And it'll be a very popular school, because those are 3 things you never learned in school, right? So I'm going to teach you how to tell time now. So 11:20 is when one hand is on 11 and one hand is on 20. Or if you have a digital watch, it says 11:20. Amazing! That's 11:20. That was so easy, right? Even you could learn that. Okay, so we're going to meet back at 11:20 and we're going to talk about Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Go Premanande. Is it too early? I guess it's too early to chant Gayatri. We're going to go till what time? To RT? Is it 12? What's the plan? 11:50. And then we have Pushpanjali?
I have a problem with all the series mistakes. Instead of having 32 GBs, it has only 4 GBs, and instead of 36 workshops, it has only 6.